Hello, we're going to go into the Region 12 Eduphoria Aware site in order to show you a little bit about Eduphoria Aware and what you can do with it. Notice when you log in, you're going to have a bunch of main tabs along the left-hand side, the default of which is Analyze. Under the Analyze tab, you have options for viewing by individual classes, by all your advisor students, all your students, and if given permission, all students at your particular grade level. Additionally, you can have monitor groups that have been approved so that you can access the data for kids that aren't necessarily your own, and those would be listed along here. Notice when we go into an individual class, we're going to go into our reading grade 4. When we go into an individual class, it doesn't just show us all the kids that are in that class. Instead, we have to go into it through the actual assessment, be it a local assessment, a tax test, whatever the case may be. So if I click on the tax test, I'm just drilling down here to get the information I'm looking for. Once I actually get to the test, it's going to pull in all the kids who have data for that test that are in this class. If they do not have data for that test, they are not going to appear right here. Let me repeat that one more time. Even though this is a roster of your kids, not every kid who is in that class is going to appear unless every kid has data for that particular test. Now in the Lampasas ISD site, up here we created an all students view that you can use to pull in the majority of those students even if they haven't taken the test, provided they have some sort of assessment data in Aware somewhere. However, you also have other options for finding those students that don't show up along here, including the Students tab. And we've made another instructional video on how to use the Students tab, so we're not going to spend too much time on that right now. I want to also show you some of the other options you have here. If you're looking through the data, you can double-click on an individual student's name in order to go into that individual student's account and testing history. The general is going to tell you what their schedule is, including who their advisor teacher is, and that's typically where you're going to find the answer sheet when they have a test assigned to them. You can also see their testing history. Here we've got tax objectives, tells us the name of the test right up here at the top. And with the drop-down arrows, you can see even more data if it's available. In this case, all of the SEs, how many were tested, how she did on each one of them, and even individual questions and their responses to those. Notice when it's time to go back to the previous screen, I use the navigational button within Eduphoria Aware and not within the browser itself. So, tabs up at the top. Where students are now is going to be based on what teacher they're assigned to presently. Where they were is based on where they were when they took the test, which is probably last year's teacher if it's a tax test. You have an individual students view, you have a course of summary view, and a teacher view. When's the teacher view going to be helpful to you as a teacher? Well, let's say you've got all 4th grade students. If you're given permission to see all students at a particular grade level so that you can see data for those students who aren't necessarily your own, data that would normally require you to get a monitor group approved, by going into the all students at the grade level and clicking on the teacher summary, then you're going to be able to see individual teachers' data. Here's Martha Bailey's 21 students, and however you pronounce that, their 21 students, Brenda Foster, their students as well. So this gives you a breakdown of the individual teachers, but if you want to see that particular list of kids for remediation or whatever the case may be, just double-click on that individual teacher's name to pull up that list of students assigned to that teacher. Notice also that with any of these columns, you can adjust the way they are ordered and organized. If I click on the raw score once, it's going to organize the data, in this case, lowest to highest. If I click on it again, it will organize it from highest to lowest. You also have the option up here to color the results, which will make it a whole lot easier on the eyes and much easier for you to analyze the data. Well, this isn't too overwhelming, but when you use other views, like objectives, SEs, or individual responses, each one of them is going to pull in more data. The one I find the most helpful is the student SE breakdown. When I click on the SEs, it's going to give me a whole lot more data that I can use as a teacher for remediation and fill in those holes in student understanding. Notice it defaulted back to the campus view, not a problem to set it back to individual students. So I now see each student, how they're doing in those particular SEs. Notice I'm pulling up the information on that particular SE just by putting the mouse over it. Now let's say we found the report that we're looking for. It's very easy to go to print, export to PDF. Now it takes a minute to load all that data. Obviously the bigger the group of kids, the more time it's going to take. And if you've got a small group of kids, then the report's going to look great. If you've got a large group of kids, it may be difficult to read. As you can see here, we've about maxed out what you can read with this individual screen. Now when it's in digital form, it's not too difficult for you to just increase the size of it so that it's easier to read. But when you actually print something like this out, it would be difficult and hard on the eyes, even though it is nice and convenient that all the data is in such a condensed form. So what we're going to use is the Flippy button, compare across tests. By clicking on this, it's going to reorder the information. Here's Meredith Allen, all their SEs. Here's the next, Nicholas Anderson, all their SEs. So when I go to print this, it's going to be much easier on the eyes. A much bigger document in terms of length, but much easier on the eyes as well. So we'll take Aware a few minutes to pull in all the data and create the PDF. I'm going to just open it in this case. Normally I'd encourage you to save it. Now you can see we've got 63 pages instead of 3 pages. But it's a lot easier to read. We've just got 2 students per page. So we can just scroll through there this way. Notice the color coding was preserved as well. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. Again, my name is Eric Folks. If you have any questions or need any help, I am more than happy to help you out individually. Just give me a call or contact me through email. Thank you.